matchup against Patron. Paladin, depending on what type of Paladin they bring, mid-range is a little bit weaker, but sometimes Secret Paladins can blow out some matches against Patron as well. And you can see UNR navigating that Patron deck, I believe, will be Jeff the Chef.
Yep, they've once again moved their matchups. Berkeley is going to start with Wild Growth here. And you know, UNR, not the greatest opening hand in the world, but they do have a Grim Patron right now. So, you know, they're clearly looking for Deathbite, one of the most important cards in this matchup. Would love to have an Iterated to go with it for that big Grim Patron turn. But Berkeley kept this Harrison Jones in the opening hand, and with that Wild Growth, you're looking at very, very early options for Azure Drake, being able to have heavy disruption early on with the Harrison Jones. You know, University of Nevada, they're mostly going to be focused on card draw for a couple turns. Berkeley's going to come out of the gate swinging.
Yeah, and that's sort of what you need to do as the Druid. Pressuring early is the best way to go against Patron Warrior, because a lot of times you don't have the necessary tools to play defense. You have spot removal, and a lot of times your spot removal doesn't line up well enough to deal with big boards of Patrons. So what you need to do is apply pressure early, force the Patron player to use cards like Inner Rage or their Deathbite swings earlier than they'd like to, in order to make it so the combos that they use later in the game are weaker, or, I mean, you just close out the game before they can do them.
Which is really, to me, what makes this matchup so interesting, is that I think both of them ideally want to be the player driving the action.
Yeah.
But the ways they do that are kind of different. Berkeley has had the more, you know, less subtle opening here of Wild Growth into threats and start to hope these threats can deal damage.
Yeah.
But University of Nevada, you know, they're looking for those big turns with Grim Patron to try to take that angle themselves. When they don't have weapons and they don't have ways to effectively deal with threats, they're suddenly playing defense. And the Patron decks do not play defense as well as the traditional Control Warrior decks do. Control Warrior's got Sludge Belchers in there, they have Shield Maidens, they have Shield Slams. This deck has a lot of combo pieces that don't line up very well in the face of pretty, you know, heavy mid-sized pressure.
Yeah, like by themselves, they're not that strong of cards. The Warrior player tries to get through that early part of the stages by removing and drawing, where the Druid player tries to control the game by just plopping down big threats that they hope go unanswered.
And this is one of those spots where University of Nevada, their decisions are just difficult. You know, do you really want to execute a 4/4? Well, I don't really, but Shield Block doesn't really accomplish anything. Putting a 3/2 on the board, you know, this does do stuff. Just dig into your deck, just get your extra cards, get you a reasonably sized threat out. That card's a turn late. But I think this was the most that they can make of their hand at this point. Start putting some pressure on the Druid's life total, force them to be the ones that are responding. But Berkeley has a swipe in this situation, so not only are they going to be able to shut down both the minions that are on board, but they get to keep their 4/4 in the meantime.
And putting on pressure, being able to swipe base in that situation, getting rid of the armor total, putting the Patron Warrior down to 25 health. It may not seem like a lot, but once the Patron Warrior player starts swinging with weapons, that's when you know that they're going to start taking a lot of damage each turn.
And this is really the importance of Harrison Jones in this matchup, is because even despite what Berkeley just did, Patron Warrior is able to seize a favorable spot with that Deathbite, but Harrison Jones shuts that down. It gives them an extra option and gets them a body on board. So Nevada has the Emperor Thorus on, but they really don't want it to be contested by a 5/3 Harrison Jones. But with a hand like this, do they have another option?
Yeah, well, they can maybe execute it and look to try and cycle a little bit more with a card like Shield Block. But then delaying that Emperor Thorus in, especially when, look at that hand. I mean, he's got Warsong Commander, Grim Patron, Frothing Berserker. He's got such good cards to be reduced.
The other thing, too, is we just talked about it. Do you want to execute a 4/4? The answer usually is kind of no when execute your only removal spell. And Harrison Jones presenting the same problem. Do you want to execute a 5/3? Well, ideally, no. They would like to get a much bigger value from that. Plus, it offsets their mana. So I think they are going to get better value hunting down this Dr. Boom. But the problem is this too much pressure at this point?
It is a lot of pressure. Whoa, he leaves it up.
I love this play from Berkeley, too. You know, how valuable is this other Emperor Thorus on? You know, that's a question kind of for the ages in this spot. And with their hand, the way it's constructed, 2 Savage Wars, I think you got to go for it. But this is University of Nevada's chance to turn this board back around. If these boom bots go south, you are looking at a big advantage for University of Nevada.
Yeah, and they also have the Battle Rage to follow it up. Costs 1 mana. You can fit it in perfectly. Execute costs 0, so you can take out the Dr. Boom if you need to. This boom bot's going to be big.
Important. Not only that, but it shut off a 5-power attack. That's a big deal as well. Second boom bot chance, though. It goes upstairs and puts him at that dangerous 14 life total. And with the Harrison swing in the face, I don't necessarily think they're comfortable with that, but Berkeley's going into 8 mana. They're not going into 9, so they actually have a turn to recover from this as well.
And with double shield block, the stabilization for UNR is going to be through the roof if they survive another turn, which looks like they will. Dr. Boom, the only card left.
It's got to get taken out.
Yeah.
Yep. So smart move by Berkeley, I think, to not attack that Emperor Thaurissan. It didn't get a trigger anyway, but look at the position they found themselves in now. They are relying solely on this Shade of Naxxramas to stick to the board and hope to pick up a Force of Nature here.
Yeah, they're going to be really disappointed next turn when they see double shield block most likely come out. That's if they even survive. They probably will, unless another Whirlwind effect would have to be picked up, or another Frothing Berserker in order to have a chance.
Well, the damage in University of Nevada's hand right now, it's going to be 2 from the Frothing Berserker. You're looking at 6 more from the Grim Patriots that are on board. That's 8 plus the 2 from the Warsong Commander. So that alone is 10 points of damage. When you factor in the Whirlwind's giving him 6 more from Grim Patrons, and then if they play the Shade, 5 damage from minions. That's a lot from just 2 cards that are in their hand. I mean, just like you said, if they pick up another Whirlwind effect here, game is ended. And Berkeley, they don't have an option other than to go, wow, it looks like they're going aggressive. They go upstairs with the Druid of the Claw. They say, let's go. University of Nevada, and this is the 10th turn. I think they are going to recover from this spot. I mean, they have to know the jig is up. They have to know Berkeley's looking to push to the end of the game.
8+6, 14, plus a Whirlwind effect. That's going to be on 7 targets.
And they get a card draw.
22 damage. Looking on the board right now, I believe, if I counted that correctly. If they pick up a Whirlwind or even an Inner Rage wouldn't quite do it, I don't think.
Here's the thing, the Acolyte's doing 2 points of damage effectively too.
That's true.
Because the Frothing Berserker here. So the Frothing Berserker ends up at 9 points right here. 9 plus the 12 that's sitting on the board. 21, 22. They have 23 damage, 24, 25 damage with this Acolyte of Pain. Any way to deal a damage to minions right now is going to end the game. And guess what?
That's it.
Unstable Ghoul with the Warsong Commander is going to be enough. The damage is coming crashing in. University of Nevada is taking a 2-1 lead here over Berkeley.
Yeah, and well sequenced there, making sure they get the attacks in with the 1 health patrons before they throw the Unstable Ghoul. And I don't even think it would have mattered, but they did it right anyway. And Berkeley has to be a little bit disappointed. They realized that their win condition at that stage in the game was just to go aggressive and hope that UNR didn't have it, but it didn't work out.
And that's really the power that this patron deck touts, is that it's almost never out of the game.